You know, when you think about how you're gonna make a video, or how you're gonna talk about something, one of the things that really kind of comes to the forefront is, how am I gonna launch into this topic? Because, you know, when you go, oh, we've kind of talked about this before, but someone sends you a link to a video, or somebody is watching a video that someone else made, and someone's saying single seaters are useless, and the other person's saying, no, I disagree. Yes, they are worthless. Not initially. There's a lot of people who are going to idealize that as not being the case, but you have to be an MMO player. You have to have played games a long time to really kind of fully grasp why a single seat ship is essentially... No, you know what? No, let's not say single seat ship. Let's say a ship without an interior is essentially dead money. Now, there are a whole bunch of single use cases that you can come up with for any number of ships in Star Citizen. Oh, in this situation, this would be good. Oh, in this situation, this would be fine. Right? But you have to understand that as people play video games, we get used to the things that work and the things that don't work, the things that are convenient and the things that are inconvenient. We build on our characters, our ships, our tanks, our whatever, you know, our planes, our, you know, we start to go, oh, okay, this seems to really work in a broad amount of situations. How do I expand this thing's role, expand its capabilities, you know, change its build, change its talent tree, whatever, to allow it to also fulfill all these little kind of fringe single use cases that these other things can fill. You know, how do I make my life, in other words, more convenient? And that's why you see so many early adopters of ships like the Cutlass, the Freelancer, the Constellation, and then later on things like the MSR to a certain degree, the obvious Corsair, blah, blah, blah. Why do these ships garner so much enthusiasm? And why do you have players who kind of more or less look at single seat fighters and kind of go, that's a dead ship, dude? And like, no, it's great. It's like, no, it's dead. And even the people who are massive enthusiasts of these things are eventually just going to kind of push them aside. And they're going to say, oh, okay, I got to get a Connie. Okay, I got to get a Corsair. I got to get this. I got to get that. And you're looking at one of the big reasons right now, inventory management. You have to be able to stand up. You have to be able to look at your character. You have to be able to say, I'm going into a hot environment. I need, you know, warm armor. I need cold armor. I need radiation armor potentially in the future. I need a multi-tool, and I need different heads. I might need the tractor beam head, the cutting tool, the healing tool, whatever. I need guns, I need ammunition, I need food, I need water, and I need the space to be able to take off my helmet and consume said food and water, because apparently in this distant future, no one thought that feeding tubes would be a good idea, which is one of the things about Star Citizen that it kind of bugs me, is like, oh, they want to have the granular and POV kind of animation of drinking a bottle of soda. It's like, oh yeah, just like in real life, or, you know, eating a burger, you know, oh wow, it's so immersive. But the truth of it is that having to take off your helmet and eat and drink everywhere you go is a huge pain in the ass. It's a novelty in the beginning. You're like, oh hey, that's cool. But then after a while you're just like, oh no, this sucks. And if you think about it being in a single seat fighter, you may be allowed to pressurize your cockpit, or otherwise, you know, put in, you know, a breathable environment in your cockpit long enough to eat a candy bar or drink a soda. But eventually it's going to be a death by 1,000 cuts. It's going to be all these little inconveniences, all these little challenges that you face. Now, oftentimes when I talk about these things, especially, the way it shapes the community's behavior, I use a lot of MMO lifetime experience to kind of inform that opinion. But what we're talking about, especially with Star Citizen, people say, oh, it's a dogfighting game. Oh, it's a space game and all that. At its very core, at its very heart, the core of what Star Citizen is, in the way that it is currently presented to us, is a survival game. It is a DayZ. It is a Scum. And if you've spent any amount of time playing survival games, things like that, you know that when you start playing, you kind of come up with, as you're collecting items and equipment, you're making tools or finding tools, however the game delivers that to you, you start to go, oh, okay, this is my ideal fit, and I need this, and I need a sword, and I need a gun, and if the sword in case the gun runs out of ammunition, and then I need like a knife to cut things, and I need lock picks to open locks and all of that, and I need water, and I need food to bring with me as I go out and I explore the world. But very, very quickly, as you're kind of going through that, and as you're kind of living that reality, as each time you leave the base, you're reiterating on that original idea of how you wanted to fit your character out. You're cutting things down. You're thinking, oh, well, I want to have enough room in my backpack to bring back lots of loot. So I'm going to have to change this. I'm going to have to, change how I approach these things. I'm going to have to start looking at, okay, do I really have to carry this much water? Oh, do I really have to carry this? Oh, do I really need to bring this? I'm going to start limiting and start eliminating the things that are more often or not proven to be superfluous, that I don't really need. And in the end, you start kind of building this kind of generalist setup that just works in most occasions for most of the content that you're likely to run into. Well, I'll bring a long distance rifle and maybe a little submachine gun, just the right amount of ammunition, silenced, of course. And instead of the sword, I'll just bring a good knife, and that should get me through. A couple of bandages, some food and water, and off we go. And all these other things that you used to bring with you, you start to eliminate them based off of the realities of what you encounter. Now, that's based off of practical experience and that constant iteration that happens every time you leave your base. Star Citizen is going to be very much the same thing. There's the idealized vision of what you think it's going to be. But then as you start to explore Pyro, Odin, Nyx, remember there's another star system that's coming. And then after that, there are multiple star systems that are being worked on together at the same time that are going to start to drop like one after another. Like this is going to be kind of like a snowball rolling down a mountain, turning into a giant, boulder like in the old cartoons. We're going to start getting all these extra systems, and we're going to have to start going further, farther, faster to get to what we want, to get to the content that we want to get to. We're going to start looking at ships that are customizable, where those customizations might not allow us to simply insurance claim them at a new station and say, oh, hey, bring this ship here, bring this ship there. We're going to have to start thinking about all the items and tools that we want to bring with us. And so when you start thinking about ships without interiors, oof, right? It's going to be all these little inconveniences. Once again, it's going to be that death by 1,000 cuts. It's going to just simply be, is it practical? And is it really what I want? And people are really going to lean into single player compatible, but multiplayer capable ships with interiors. Now, there are certain fringe things. There are going to be ships like the Vulture, ships, Oh man, the Prospector. For some, I was gonna call it the Prozac. I don't know why. But ships like that are kind of niche cases where you could see the viability for them for a single player. But once again, these are ships that have interiors. So that's kind of where, you know, when people say our single seater's dead, I don't really subscribe to the idea that it's a single seater thing. It's a ships without interiors are dead. Our DOA are pointless because ultimately, unless you're operating a large fleet that has the logistical wagon train along with it to bring those ships around, and you have that facility available to you 24/7, 365 whenever you decide to play, you're gonna just simply, it's gonna be the convenience or the inconvenience of these things that is going to eliminate them. It's not going to be that they're bad at flying or their maneuverability sucks or whatnot. It's just going to be that they're impractical. And while there are certainly single situations where you say, oh, it's a great ship, they're going to be the broader day in, day out situations when you're playing the game where they're just simply not good. They're too niche, you know, and not in a good way. So, yeah, when I hear people talk about this and they say, oh, our single seater's dead or our single seater's useless, no, they are not. But ships without interiors are. And that's just simply the brutal, cold, hard reality of it. And it's fine to disagree with me on this point. But, you know, 5 years from now, I think that there's going to be a long list of ships that were at one point considered like the cutting edge of what Star Citizen is capable of and the must-have ships in the game that are really just going to be expensive hangar decorations and reminders of a bygone era and a complete misunderstanding of what Star Citizen was going to end up becoming.
Thank you for watching. So if you want to keep up with the latest and greatest in Star Citizen and Squadron 42's development, please follow us on our social media channels. See you soon.